Hey guys, Zen here, and Operation Burnt Horizon is finally upon us. So in this video, I'm hoping to help you as you navigate the start of this next season, and also supply you with some early tips and of course my thoughts so far. So please, let us begin. First, I want to talk about the two new operators, Mozzie and Gridlock. I think the community as a whole is gravitating more towards Mozzie, mostly because his gadget is the more flashy of the two, so we'll start there. For you newfound Mozzie mains, the first and most important tip I have for you is to call out to your teammates not to shoot the drones at the start of the round. This has easily been the most frustrating part about playing this operator so far, and it's mainly because it's a dynamic of the game that hasn't ever been changed. Since the beginning of the game, the only thing a defender has ever known is to shoot a drone. They've never served any other purpose in the past, but now they do, and something you'll notice, especially in these early days, are your teammates immediately taking them out and leaving you with nothing left to hack. So very similar to how Valkyrie will request not to tag with her black eye cams, if you plan to play as Mozzie, I highly recommend telling your teammates to hold off on shooting nearby drones. Now, obviously, the Golden Goose is Twitch's shock drone. There are so many ways that you can hurt the attackers if Mozzie ends up getting his hands on one, and so it is vital that if you do see a Twitch drone cruising around, you alert him of it. Don't make the mistake of chasing down drones or letting stray drones just escape because you want Mozzie to hack them. Remember, he can only hack 3 during the round, and there are 10 attacker drones total, so try to make sure that as Mozzie you make it count. Now, an excellent pairing with Mozzie is Mute, but I'm seeing a lot of people place mute jammers next to drone holes or in doorways to try to help Mozzie catch drones. Now yes, it is very easy for a jam drone to be hacked, but that only works if Mozzie is around to actually shoot the pest onto the drone. In my opinion, the best option is to use Mute for stairways and use Mozzie for drone holes and doorways. It's a lot easier for a pest to capture a drone as it's cruising through a drone hole, but if you place a mute jammer there, it won't have the ability to pass through, so the pest will never get to it. It's also almost impossible for a shock drone to shoot a pest in a doorway, and most definitely through a drone hole. There is almost absolutely nothing Twitch can do about it in those situations, unlike a mute jammer, where she can almost always get an angle and deal with them. Now, the bigger question with this operator is which primary to use. Yes, the commando has the fancier reload animation, but during the match, which one should you opt for? At this time, and in my honest opinion, the commando is the better gun. It's basically a laser beam. It just feels amazing to handle, but I really can't take anything away from the P10 Roni. It also shoots very straight and is really accurate, but you can tell it's definitely designed for that super up close run and gun gameplay style, so I'm gonna recommend this weapon for you Mozzie mains that plan to roam with him. But so far, I've actually really come to enjoy this operator. Mozzie blends that passive gameplay style of someone like Echo or Maestro with an aggressive support like Bandit or Jaeger. It really is up to you how you choose to play with him, even down to how you use the drones you capture. You could set them up in tough to spot places and treat them like a camera, or you could always cruise them around the map and seek out the attackers. I don't think Mozzie is must-pick territory like someone like Jaeger, for example, although I do think this season will be huge for him, especially as he is now the biggest threat to Twitch. Now, we also got Gridlock, and I'm surprised to say that she hasn't gotten the positive reception I expected her to get. The main things I'm hearing about her are that her main assault rifle, the F90, isn't very good, and that the tracks are too easily countered. So for me, the F90 is almost god tier. I mean, I'm just being honest. I do understand the complaint that it doesn't do a lot of damage per bullet, and maybe if you're not super accurate or new for that matter, it's really affecting you, but this thing just reels in the headshots. Something about its fire rate and its easy to control recoil that reminds me of Twitch's F2, which has always been considered one of the best in the game. I recommend the ACOG and Flash Hider, and this weapon really can't do any wrong in my opinion. Now, when it comes to the tracks gadget, I like to think of it similar to Ying's Candelas in that it's very loud while it's being deployed. So it's a great tool for drowning out sound or creating chaos on the objective. The current tactic is to throw out a smoke grenade and then follow up with the tracks, which will be masked by smoke and difficult to counter. Now, you won't have to worry about Jaeger with the tracks, but you will still have to worry about him with the smoke grenades, so you're still gonna need to deal with the ADS for the full effect. Don't just throw this thing behind you and expect it to watch your back. Try and deploy it where you can get the most intel out of it, and in places where the defenders will be forced to deal with it if they want access to a certain area. Because she comes with the super shorty, Gridlock can easily open up walls, ceilings, and even floors and get her gadget deployed. This gives you a great opportunity to distract the defenders with the tracks and use that time to hopefully get a plant down or push the objective. Now, because I think vertical gameplay is really key with this operator, operator, I'm gonna recommend pairing her with Buck and Sledge, as well as Glaz. Now, obviously with Glaz, you're gonna get more smoke, but more importantly, the defenders will be a lot more cautious and peek less if they know Glaz is looking through smoke, so Gridlock has the opportunity to more easily conceal her gadget. Buck and Sledge are really the kings of vertical gameplay because of how easily they can open up the floor and to some extent the ceiling, and again, I think this is where she really shines. Of course, she can always do it herself, but the name of the game is operator synergy, and these two make that job a lot simpler and faster. So as far as the new SASR operators, I can't lie, Mozzie is making the bigger moves and I think serving a more valuable purpose, but Gridlock is strong, so if you're torn between the two, I really can't blame you. However, I do think that the skill gap is much higher with Mozzie, so you newer players might want to unlock Gridlock first. Now, I've actually gone through all of my placement matches, and if there's one thing I've noticed during this time is that there's a lot less Ashe. I'm not saying this to worry you or to celebrate based on your feelings of her, but removing her ACOG from the R4C has most definitely made an impact on her pick rate, and I can't wait to see it at the end of this season. I really thought that her pick rate would remain the same and people would just opt to use the G36C, but that really isn't the case, at least in my experience. People just aren't picking Ashe, and it also really goes to prove just how important that scope is to some players. It isn't that the R4C is now bad, it's still a really strong and aggressive assault rifle, it just lacks the accuracy of the ACOG now, so it just isn't that reliable in those long range gunfights. This also doesn't mean that the G36C isn't good, it's just never been an option against the R4C, and I actually believe that there's people in this community that have been playing since beta and have never tried the G36C because of the R4C's dominance. Now, I'm an advocate for the G36C, so I'm gonna put a little PSA out there that Ashe doesn't all of a sudden need to go extinct because of this change. Try the G36C, and if it really isn't the gun for you, use the holographic sight with the R4C and push even harder than you did before. It wasn't something that I was actively looking out for, but I almost immediately noticed it as the rounds and matches went by that I was seeing Ashe a lot less than compared to last season. Now, finally, there's Outback. At the event in Montreal and also throughout the TTS, I was really enjoying this map. It felt fresh and has a bright aesthetic, so I was really looking forward to it. With the placements now complete and even more time spent with the map though, I'm struggling to get comfortable with it. It is a smaller map, which I'm actually a huge fan of, but on top of it being smaller, it feels really tight and very close quarters, so every gunfight feels like it's taking place within shotgun range. Now, I think the whole point of this map is just how destructive it is. A lot of the bomb sites are separated either by a room or a few walls, so it's really important that as a defender, you open up the map and give yourself plenty of space to work with. As an attacker, I think a major key is the outside windows. There are so many windows on this map, and most of them lead right outside of an objective, so use them to your advantage and bring ops like Gridlock and Nomad to watch your back. Overall, I'll say that this is a great start to year 4. Both of the new operators are fun to play as and bring a lot of new utility to the field. I think Mozzie has more longevity over time, but hopefully after we get through her initial growing pains, like being the first 3 armor attacker since launch, Gridlock will remain viable as well. I don't think balance will be a big issue this season. Ubisoft has done a great job this time around where we haven't had any huge changes, like Kaid losing his 3rd Electroclaw, for example. So I think right now is as close to perfect as we'll get for a new season of Rainbow Six Siege. But that's everything, guys. Burnt Horizon is here, and those are my initial thoughts. I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts about this operation so far, and also which operator have you been using more, Gridlock or Mozzie? Leave it all in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. With that being said, it's been Zen. Hey, I'm out.